and welcome to the program. Today's question is, what does a business broker or M&A advisor actually do? My name's Jim Beno. I'm a seasoned business broker, also known as an M&A advisor. Before I get started, I want to remind you that I don't give legal advice. I don't give tax advice. So let's jump right in. What does a business broker or M&A advisor do? So in this video, I'm going to be talking what they do mainly for sellers. We're not going to talk about what they do for buyers. As our company, we don't do buyer searches. So first off, a good M&A professional is going to get you a price range of where they think a reasonable selling price for the business is. I'm not going to go into too much detail on that because I have a whole separate video on how to determine that. But basically, they're going to be reviewing your last several years' tax returns and financial statements. They're going to be talking with you about your working capital requirements, also discussing any type of capital expenditures that need to be done in the near future, looking at the current value of your equipment, evaluating your business on the strengths and weaknesses, or what would be risks to a buyer. Looking at comp reports, what have similar businesses sold for, and what was the multiple of earnings that they sold for, and not only on similar within the industry, but also similar in size. A business that makes $1 million in revenue and income a year is going to get a higher multiple than a business that makes 200,000 of income a year, and it's going to make less than a lower multiple than a business that makes 20 million a year in income. So first thing is to get sellers a reasonable selling price or a range. Next, and if it's a larger business, maybe a business that's going to be selling for 3 million or more, they should have access to getting a business appraisals done for you for a seller at a discount, or a quality of earnings report. If your business is selling for $10 million, I would seriously consider getting an outside CPA agency to do a quality of earnings for the last few years, because that's going to make a buyer more comfortable moving forward. After they get you opinion of value, they're going to create what's called a blind teaser ad. That's going to be an ad used to market the business to find buyers, to get buyers to raise their hand. It's going to have generic information on your company, so no buyer is going to know it's your company for sale. It will have a geographic area. It might be a county, it might be a state, it might be Chicagoland area, for example. It might be an area, or it might be Midwest. It's going to have annual sales numbers, annual income number or profit numbers, or cash flow numbers. It's going to talk about some of the industry you're in and some of the strengths of the business, but very generic in nature, trying to get buyers to raise their hand. Once the buyers raise their hand and want information, they're going to get what's called a confidential business information memorandum, or SIM, or confidential business summary, or marketing booklet, confidential marketing booklet. For this video, we'll just call it a marketing booklet. And that's going to be anywhere from 5 to 30 pages long. The broker is going to put that together with a lot of the input from the seller. It's going to talk about the business itself. It's going to talk about how it got started, a history. They'll talk about the owners and the job responsibility of the owners. It'll have definitely a section on the financials and write up on the financials. It'll talk about customers' concentrations. It's not going to list customer names. It'll talk about key employees a little bit and their responsibilities, and it'll talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the business. And all of those things have to be done before you can even go to market. Typically, I'm in a listing 100 hours before I even go to market. And so all that has to be done by the broker before it goes to market. And basically, the broker's job is to do all the day-to-day admin tasks that it takes to sell a business. To go into time, typically I'm in a listing, I spend 300 to 400 hours a year on the first year I have a listing, whether it sells or not. Some businesses might be a little less, depending on, and some might be a little more, depending on how much interest there is from the blind teaser ads. But as the owner, you need to focus on keeping those numbers up, focusing on growing the business, because the most important numbers to the buyer is going to be your current year-to-date numbers and your trailing 12-month numbers. So if you're trying to sell a business and spending 300 hours and taking you, sidetracking you, so you're not getting sales, that's not a good thing. And so really that's why you hire a professional broker. Um, the broker also is going to be able to get way more exposure for you than you would. They're going to be placing blind teaser ads depending on the size of the business. They'll have several blind teaser ads on various websites. And if it's a lower mid-market business, they're going to have an outreach program, buyer outreach program. Um, a database that I use has over 4,000 professional buyers, private equity groups, and family offices, where I can run queries based off of geographic area, based off their industry interest, size of the business, sales, and net income. And I can drastically lower that number in the database and then do an outreach program, whether it be through direct email or through a letter, or it might be a phone call or a combination of the two. Also, private equity events that I'll attend, which basically are like speed dating events between your advisors and your professional buyer groups or private equity groups and family offices, where it's kind of a meet and greet, and you can kind of pitch your teaser ads to. A business broker is also going to have nationwide bank contacts to try to get your business pre-qualified for financing. That's going to be important for a buyer, and it's going to be really important to you as a seller if you don't want to carry a note that's 50% of the purchase price or 80% of the purchase price. If you want your money on the front end, you need to find a lender that's going to give you give financing. A broker also has their own database. They have their database of buyers, and if it's a lower mid-market, they've got databases of private equity groups of people they may already have NDAs on. And if you're a Main Street businesses selling for under $3 million, and where the owner operator is going to be local, they're going to have local buyers too, if it's a local business broker. And they're going to pre-qualify the buyers as well. Make sure all the buyers who want information, they need to sign a non-disclosure agreement or NDA, and they need to sign it and date it before they can get that marketing booklet. So they're going to handle all that. They're going to also work with I have a connection with several other licensed brokers, that business brokers that aren't part of my company, but we can do kind of like in real estate where we co-broker deals. I've very successfully co-brokered deals in the past. And it's about getting that exposure with the blind teaser ads. They're going to prepare you for buyer and seller calls. They're going to answer questions for the buyers, and some buyers are going to have really, only questions that the owner can answer, and they'll, email those over and get those questions answered and make sure the questions are answered properly. They'll set you up and prepare you for buyer seller calls. And eventually you're going to have a buyer that wants a face-to-face meeting. They'll arrange that, set the face-to-face meeting up, and prepare you. Typically, those face-to-face meetings are going to be done in the evenings or weekends when employees are not around. They'll address the buyer questions after, typically when they have a on-site visit, there's going to be a whole slew of questions that are going to come from the on-site visit, and they'll help address those. They're going to encourage those buyers to submit what's called a letter of intent or an offer or an LOI. And they'll help negotiate a better deal for you as well too. Once you have an agreed upon letter of intent where the businesses, buyer and seller have signed, the business is now under contract. It comes off the market. But that doesn't stop what the broker does. At that point, the broker, I think, becomes a must-have. At that time, I'm holding weekly calls between the buyer and seller, making sure the deal's still moving forward. At that time, once you're under contract, the buyer is going to have an attorney engaged. The seller is going to have an attorney engaged. Both parties are going to be spending thousands of dollars, and a lot of times, the buyer's attorney is going to want one thing, and the seller's attorney is going to want another. And there's going to be some tense moments when you're negotiating the actual purchase agreement. And a lot of times the broker is going to be a mediator in a situation like that. I also created a closing checklist of things that have to get done from the buyer's side and the seller's side. That's important. Otherwise, you could get to closing and find out you're not ready to close because a few things haven't been done. They're going to manage the due diligence process. They'll work with the lenders as needed to get make sure the lenders, because the lenders are going to have their own due diligence request lists. Um, they can work with the CPA, especially the seller's CPA. They'll work with the seller's CPA, try to minimize, strategies to minimize your taxes that are going to be paid. Um, and there's a whole gambit of things that have to be done, and there's a lot of moving parts that are happening concurrently. That a lot of times, businesses, if you're trying to sell on your own, things just have a tendency of not to get done because you're busy running the business. And so I would encourage you, if you're looking to sell a business, I certainly would not sell a business without an M&A professional. And I don't just say that because I'm an M&A professional, but I know all the work that I do to get a deal to the closing. And I know most sellers not only don't have the knowledge to do that, but they don't have the time to do it. So hopefully that gives you an idea of all the things that a business broker M&A advisor does. That's it for today. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's video, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to have other educational videos that if you're looking to buy or sell a business, you'll find very helpful. As a reminder, I don't give legal advice or tax advice on these videos. If you want to contact me directly, you can reach me at Jim Beno at businessbrokerexpertsinc.com. That's JIMBENO at businessbrokerexpertsinc.com. Thanks for staying to the end. I have a little reward for you. I have a couple bonuses for you. Just click on the link below and find out how to get your 2 free bonus reports. Just click on the link below and get your 2 free bonus reports.